Hello everyone, this is Qing from Alibaba Group. In this presentation, I will talk about the details about the MiniApp Lifecycle proposal. Okay, in next slide, here I list the link of the draft proposal, and this draft has been submitted to the MiniApp CG, and we have very many discussions on this topic. And here I want to give a very brief introduction. Because we know that the MiniApp is composed of two layers, the application layer and the page layer. Therefore, the MiniApp lifecycle will contain two parts. The first is the application lifecycle, and the second is the page lifecycle. So in the next slide, in order to better understand the MiniApp working mechanism, and we need to first get to know how the MiniApp works. And first, here I list 6 working mechanisms. And the first one is download. It means that in the first time the user opens a MiniApp, the hosted native environment, such as the hosted app, will download the MiniApp package from the backend server. And then the downloaded package is cached locally. And when the user reopens this same MiniApp, the download procedure can be skipped, which can let the user to open the MiniApp more quickly. And the second one is the cold launch. It means that to open a MiniApp that has never been launched locally, or to open a MiniApp that has been destroyed. So in this cold launch, the MiniApp will start from the very first step, the initialization. And in contrast, there is a concept of the hot launch. It means that to open a MiniApp that is running in the background. So it simply means that the MiniApp only switches from running in the background to be running in the foreground. And then in the fourth working mechanism is run in the foreground. It means that when user firstly open a MiniApp, it is in the state of running in the foreground. And also we have the concept of the running in the background. It means that when the user closes the MiniApp or leaves the hosted native environment, the MiniApp will not be destroyed directly. Instead, it will switch to run in the background. And the last one is the destroy. It means that only after the MiniApp has been running in the background for a specific duration, like several minutes, or the MiniApp has occupied too many system resources, then the MiniApp will be destroyed and closed permanently. So based on this, in the slide 4, based on this MiniApp working mechanisms, we can see that the first, for the MiniApp application lifecycle, it contains 4 events. And the first event is initialization. It means that when the user first opens a MiniApp for the first time, the MiniApp will start the initialization procedure. And the second event is running in the foreground. It means that the MiniApp initialization is completed, or when the user reopens the same MiniApp that has been closed. And the third event is running in the background. And it means that when the user closes the MiniApp or go to the mobile phone's home screen, then the MiniApp will in the event of running in the background. And the last event is error. It denotes that the MiniApp is confronted with some script error. So accordingly, then we can have the corresponding 4 MiniApp application lifecycle states. And the first state is launched. It is the lifecycle state for the MiniApp initialization. And the MiniApp will enter this application lifecycle states once the MiniApp initialization is completed, or the MiniApp is under this state is triggered only once. And the second state is the show. It is the state for the MiniApp running in the foreground. And the MiniApp will enter this lifecycle states once the MiniApp initialization is completed, or the MiniApp switch to be running in foreground from the background. And the third state is the hidden. It is the lifecycle states for the MiniApp running in the background. And the MiniApp will enter this state once the MiniApp switches to be running from the background to running from foreground to the background. And the last state is error. It is the lifecycle state for the MiniApp error, and the MiniApp will enter these states once the MiniApp is confronted with script error. So, accordingly, based on the definition of the MiniApp lifecycle states, then in slide 6, here is the proposed APIs for the MiniApp application lifecycle. So we can have first we have the onLaunch API to monitor the callback of the MiniApp initialization, and its object contains the 3 parameters. First is the query. It is the inputted UI query for the current MiniApp, and the path parameter, which is the UI page path for the current MiniApp, and also it contains the reference information. It is it means the source information for the MiniApp, including the MiniApp ID and some optional extra data. And the second, it has the onShow API to monitor the callback of MiniApp foreground display. And the definition of its object is same as the onLaunch. And third, it has the onHide to monitor the callback of MiniApp switching to be running in the background. And last, it has the onError to monitor the callback of MiniApp error. So in the slide 7, here I list some sample codes. And first, it's based on the assumption that it will use the MiniApp UI. Here I list in the first line. And then based on the UI, after running these different MiniApp application lifecycle APIs, it will get it will enter the different states, and then it will can get the information, for example, the information from the UI. And here in the slide 8, here we come to the second part, the MiniApp page lifecycle. Here, first similar to the application lifecycle, here I list the 5 events used by the MiniApp page lifecycle. And the first event is the loading. It means the MiniApp page loading procedure. And the second is the first rendering ready event. It means the MiniApp page first rendering procedure. And the third event is the running in the foreground. It means the MiniApp page running in foreground. And the fourth one is the MiniApp page running in the background. And the last one is the event of unloading. It means that the MiniApp page is destroyed. So accordingly, based on the MiniApp lifecycle events in the slide 9, it lists the 5 MiniApp page lifecycle states. First is the state of the loaded. It is the lifecycle state for the MiniApp page loading. And the MiniApp page will enter this state once the MiniApp page loading is completed. And at this moment, the worker has obtained the initialization data, and the developers can obtain the MiniApp page path and query. And the system event can be monitored. And the second state is the ready. It is the lifecycle state for the MiniApp page's first rendering. And the MiniApp page will enter this state once the MiniApp page first rendering is completed. At this moment, the page UI can be configured. And the third is the lifecycle state for the MiniApp page display, called show. And the MiniApp page will enter this state once the page switch to be running in foreground from the background. And at this moment, the developers can update the data and refresh the page. And the fourth one is hidden. It is the lifecycle state for the MiniApp page running in background. The MiniApp page will enter this state once the page switch to be running from foreground to background. And the last state is unloaded. It is the lifecycle state for the MiniApp page destroying. And the MiniApp page will enter this state once the page is destroyed. And at this moment, the register monitoring events is destroyed too. So, based on the MiniApp page lifecycle states, in slide 10, here is a list of the MiniApp page lifecycle APIs. First, it has the onload API to monitor the callback of the MiniApp page loading, and it contains a query parameter to denote the inputted query for the current MiniApp page. And also it has the onReady to monitor the callback of the MiniApp page's first rendering. And it has the onShow to monitor the callback of MiniApp page display. And it has the onHide to monitor the callback of MiniApp page switching to be running in the background. And the last is the onUnload to monitor the callback of destroying MiniApp page. And in slide 11, it also lists the sample code. It's kind of very simple and very easy to understand. And next, in the slide 12, here is the figure illustrates the MiniApp page lifecycle, the MiniApp lifecycle. And here we can see that when the user firstly opens a MiniApp, the rendering view and the worker view, the worker and will simultaneously start the initialization. After the worker is initialized, the worker will run the MiniApp application lifecycle events, the app on launch and the app on show to create the MiniApp instance. Afterwards, the worker runs the MiniApp page lifecycle events page on load. Then, after this, the worker will send the initial data to the render view to start the first rendering. So once the first rendering is completed, the render view will notify the worker. Then the worker can run the MiniApp page lifecycle events page on ready. Afterwards, the user at this moment, the user can interact with the MiniApp. The render view can be triggered to deliver the user events to the worker for further processing. Then also the worker will return the results data to the render view for the re-render on the page. And sometimes if the MiniApp page switches to be running in the background, the worker will run the MiniApp page lifecycle event page on hide to keep alive. If MiniApp page switch to foreground, then the worker will run the MiniApp page lifecycle event page on show. And if to destroy the MiniApp page, the worker runs the MiniApp page lifecycle event page on unload. So here is this is a very simple illustration of the MiniApp lifecycle. And then in the next slide, the slide 13, here is some consideration on the privacy and the security of the MiniApp. And first, the onShow and onHide events can enable the developers to know when a MiniApp is visible. And by use of onShow event, the developers can choose to process and hide the sensitive data before the MiniApp page switches to be running in foreground. And also the onUnload events provides a notification that the page is being unloaded. And the next slide, slide 14, here is the comparison between some related work in W3C, and this also has been asked many times by other W3C groups. And the first, here I list some of the lifecycle states that's required by the MiniApp. And in the second column, I listed some of the work that is being discussed in the W3C's current other groups. And we can see that for the most of the states that is required by the MiniApp lifecycle has not been discussed or supported in the W3C. And only the lifecycle states of the page show, page hidden, and page unloaded. There we found some similar things are being discussed. First is the page visibility draft. It discusses the visible states, and also in the same draft it also introduces the hidden states. And also in the page lifecycle draft, we find that it's defined discarded states, very similar to the page unloaded in the MiniApp lifecycle states. So in this comparison, we can find that most of the lifecycle states required by the MiniApp has not been discussed or developed in the W3C. So we can see that it is very necessary to for the W3C to develop some lifecycle states that can support the requirement for the MiniApp. Also, okay, here is all the contents I want to share with you, and looking forward to the Q&A session in the real-time workshop. Thank you very much.